And welcome back to Sports on Tap. It's our Week 7 recaps of high school football.
Ow.
I'm Rob Trout with Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, the one-eared Sean Duffy.
One-eared? He blew out both eardrums. I'm bleeding over
He's
here.
done.
That's my bad.
He's done.
A little off my game tonight.
I mean,
What's the board up doing over there?
it's not, I feel like he's picking on me, and I don't like it. All you Indians fans.
Well, want to thank Coach Pinzoni from Brunswick for joining us. And also, we're going to have head coach of the Highland Hornets, Coach Gibbons, come on a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, about 8:45 scheduled to call in, so we'll be looking forward to that just in time to recap our game of the week this week.
Which was a great one.
Great game.
Aurora at Highland. But first things first, we'll go through the Southwestern Conference, and we'll first start in Avon, where Avon, they had great field position all night as they took on the Lakewood Rangers. And the Avon offense, they were quick to score, and the defense was pretty impressive for the Eagles, as it took the Eagles all of 22 seconds in 3 plays after receiving the opening kickoff to go 48 yards. As quarterback Ryan Malloy found Matt Kennedy for 18 yards and a 7-0 lead for the Eagles to start. The next possession for the Rangers was a turnover as the snap went over Austin Mahar's head into the end zone for a safety. And then after the free kick, it was Ryan Malloy. He would connect again, this time with Chris Mullins. It would give Avon a 16-0 lead. Lakewood, though, they would get on the board with a touchdown for Davon Hannibal, a 75-yard touchdown run. They cut the lead to 16-7. But then Avon would score 21 unanswered points and jump out to a 37-7 lead, and they would win big in this game, 54-21. Avon improves to 7-0, 6-0 in conference, and will face North Ridgeville. Lakewood falls to 0-7, 0-6, and they will take on Westlake coming up. It was Avon's quarterback Ryan Malloy. He threw for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns. The running back Tony Eberhard had 5 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. And then the backup quarterback Garson Goslin, 3 of 3 for 30 yards and a touchdown. Chris Mullins, the wide receiver, 5 receptions, 79 yards and a touchdown. For Lakewood, it was Adams with 12 carries, 73 yards and a touchdown. Austin Mahar had 171 yards and a touchdown and interception. And give credit to Hannibal, he had 5 carries, 128 yards and a touchdown for Lakewood. Let's move to Midview, where the Middies took on the Westlake Demons. And Midview, they wanted to jump out early, and that's exactly what they did. On the first play for the Middies, senior running back Connor Wolf broke out for a 45-yard gain. And then Midview took 6 more plays to get on the board. First, as running back Connor Wolf scored on a 1-yard touchdown run, giving the Midview Middies the lead. Then Midview quarterback Seamus Higley would connect with junior receiver John McCall on a 28-yard touchdown pass. The Middies jumped out 14-0, and they would actually get the lead up to 35-0 before Westlake would get on the board when quarterback William Blood found senior running back James Coleman on a 41-yard touchdown strike. They missed the extra point, and it was 35-6 at that point. Midview, though, they would outscore Westlake 20-0 the rest of the way, and they continue to roll. 55-6 was your final score here. Midview improves to 6-1, 5-1 in conference, as they will host Olmsted Falls coming up. Westlake falls to 0-7, 0-6 in conference, and they will host Lakewood. Moving to Olmsted Falls, as the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs took on the Berea Mid-Park Titans. And this game, let's put it this way, it wasn't a defensive matchup by any means in this game.
Jeez.
As the Bulldogs, they got out to a quick 21-point lead on Berea Mid-Park. And, you know, it seems like with Berea Mid-Park, they get behind in the first half of the game and always try to mount that comeback in the second half.
I think they like that. I like that. I think they I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my hearing back. Yeah, I think it seems that they really, like playing from behind or like having that. I'm sure the Coach Unick does not like playing from behind, but maybe the kids like to play behind.
Yeah, then they can air it out a little bit with Basinski.
Maybe.
But you're right. They seem to like it, and Berea Mid-Park eventually would get on the board thanks to running back Bryce Agnew setting up a Trevor Basinski 7-yard run. At the half, it was 28-14 Bulldogs. The Bulldogs open up the second half with another rushing touchdown. It was their 5th of the game. And then Berea Mid-Park would answer. It was running back Bryce Agnew with a 45-yard touchdown. This was a back-and-forth game most of the second half. Luke Lombardo, though, he wanted his turn scoring from 9 yards out. It was his third touchdown of the game. Olmsted Falls led at one point, 41-21. Then Olmsted Falls held a 21-point lead heading to the fourth quarter. Berea Mid-Park, though, they've been in this situation before as running back Bryce Agnew would start the scoring with a 53-yard touchdown run to cut the lead to 13 points. But they could never get any closer in this game. It was Olmsted Falls winning 62-48. The Bulldogs improved to 6-1, 5-1 in conference as they will travel to Midview. Berea Mid-Park falls to 3-4, 2-4, and they will host Avon Lake. And in this game, there was 1,154 total yards combined of total offense. 16 total touchdowns were scored for a combined 110 points in this game.
Lord.
Both these teams, got some pretty solid competition going forward. Olmsted Falls still wraps up with Midview, Avon Lake, and North Olmsted, all of which with winning records. Berea Mid-Park, Avon Lake, North Olmsted, and Avon also all with winning records. So both these teams are, that's not ending very softly for them, and really anyone in this conference for that matter.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean, this just, again, we're seeing, and we talked about it off the top of the show, a lot of these conferences, you're starting to see teams separate themselves, and I think, Rob did a really good job of highlighting, I think, 3 teams right now that are at the top of the Southwestern Conference in Avon, Midview, and Olmsted Falls. I mean, these teams are good in a team, and you're waiting for these collisions to happen that are going to start coming in the next 3 weeks that are really going to kind of separate out how the Southwestern Conference shakes out at the end of the year. Not only that, but also these are big playoff implications because as we learned last year, the Southwestern Conference is pretty much Region 5 of the Division 2 of the Division 2 playoffs. So, I mean, they're not only jockeying for a Southwestern Conference championship, they're jockeying for playoff position, home field advantage, the ability to control your own destiny. So it's very important, I think, for these teams to play at their best, and I think we're going to see some really good matchups in the next 3 weeks to kind of settle this Southwestern Conference.
I think you're right, Sean. It's going to be interesting, and we'll move to a team that's trying to get into the playoffs. Amherst Steel, they traveled to Avon Lake, who also is fighting for a playoff spot. As Avon Lake, they were down most of this game, but they started off scoring first as Luke Fetters caught a 29-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Jack McCulloch. It was 7-0 Avon Lake. Then Amherst would score the next 21 points, and they were leading 21-7 into the third quarter. It was Kennedy Scagliazzo. He threw 2 touchdown passes, then ran another one in. And then Avon Lake would strike as wide receiver Jake Marinelli caught a pass from McCulloch for a touchdown. McCulloch would then run another touchdown in. All of a sudden, it was 21-20. Amherst still led in the fourth quarter. Avon Lake, though, they outscored Amherst 20-7 as Connor Riggs would score 2 touchdowns for Avon Lake. The Shoremen come back and get a huge 40-28 win.
Ooh.
And it marks the 18th straight time the Shoremen have defeated the Comets. Avon Lake, they improved to 5-2 overall, 4-2 in conference, and they will travel to Berea Mid-Park as the Comets fall to 4-3, 3-3 in conference, and they will host North Olmsted. North Ridgeville going to North Olmsted right down the street, and North Ridgeville looking for their first win of the year as they take on a very good Eagles team. After a fumble by the Rangers and a missed field goal by the Eagles, North Olmsted would score first with a quarterback Ryan Connolly 3-yard touchdown run. Connolly would score again, and it was all of a sudden 14-0 Eagles early. The Rangers, though, they would get on the board with a Matt Steinmetz 3-yard touchdown. It was 14-7 in the second quarter. Then a name we've mentioned often, running back Darren Anders of the North Olmsted Eagles. He would answer for the Eagles with a 21-7 lead at halftime, and he ran it in. Anders having a great year so far. The Rangers, though, they would start the second half with a 74-yard touchdown run from quarterback Matt Steinmetz, or it wasn't. It was actually a pass. Steinmetz to Connor Kerr. It was 21-14. North Olmsted would lead. This game went back and forth with North Ridgeville getting the lead down to 7, and the Eagles keeping them at bay as they got it back up to 14 at one point. Before the third quarter, though, would end, it was wide receiver Chad Williams. He would catch a 55-yard pass from Steinmetz again to close the gap to 7 for North Ridgeville. It was 35-28 Eagles after 3 quarters of play. Then with 2:31 left in the fourth quarter, it was Rangers running back Shamari Williams. He would score from 15 yards out to tie the game at 35, and this game would ultimately head into overtime. And in that overtime period, North Ridgeville, they would score first with an 11-yard run by Shamari Williams. The Rangers took a 42-35 lead. And the Eagles, they would have a chance to tie the game, but the Rangers' defense would stop them, and the Rangers would get their first win of the season, 42-35.
In OT.
In overtime.
Overtime.
Shamari Williams, obviously a big part of this North Ridgeville team, carrying them offensively. And some really nice play by North Ridgeville as they improved to 1-6, 1-5 in conference. And it doesn't get easier as they travel to Avon, as North Olmsted will take on, or actually North Olmsted will go to 4-3 on the year, 3-3 in conference, and they travel to Amherst, which in my mind for Amherst, it's a must-win if they want to make the playoffs. They're on the outside looking in right now.
They got to take care of business and hope that they get some help too.
Yeah, and you almost have to win out. You know, it would have been.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if you could get some big wins.
For Amherst, it's imperative you have to win out. The only problem is you have to win out, and you have to scoreboard watch a little bit as well to really kind of. You're not in control of your own destiny at this point in time. So you have to, and any coach will tell you have to handle the business you can control, and everything else will take care of itself. Big shout out, and again, congratulations to North Ridgeville getting a tough fought victory, their first victory of the season. Again, as we mentioned, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, just injury plagued all year. They can't even field their freshman or JV team some weeks. They're pulling kids up that aren't used to varsity level playing. So, that's a hard fought victory, and congratulations to them. I know that's got to be a good feeling for that community. To get a win in for the season for the seniors and things like that. So it's not a complete loss on the season. You got to win a victory, and you got to look forward. I mean, you got a big test in Avon, and are they at Avon next week?
Yeah, they're heading to Avon.
You're on the road. You got to take it to Avon next week.
Yeah, and right now it's Avon number 1, Midview number 3, and then you have Olmsted Falls at 6, then Amherst Steel at 11, and North Olmsted at 12, Avon Lake at 13.